Cameras are boring, aren't they? There, I said it. Probably not going to be the most popular statement, that, but that is exactly why they're important. Hear me out. I think that might actually be one of my favourite photos I've taken this year so far. I love that. I don't know about you, but I'm more interested in telling stories, creating art, and making memories when it comes to my photography and video. And that is why I think cameras are boring, because I think we've all got a little bit too hung up on specs of cameras and what they look like on a spec sheet, whether it can shoot 4K, 6K, 8K, 12K, how many megapixels it's got, what's the dynamic range like. I'm not really interested in it. I just want to be able to go out and create cool stuff. It doesn't matter what a camera looks like on a spec sheet, you name it, any camera now is capable of creating amazing stuff. So whether you're making a mini documentary, out doing a little bit of photography like I am today, it really doesn't matter, because it is more now about finding the right gear that works for you, because any camera is capable in any situation. And the perfect example of that is that a few weeks ago, I used the Lumix S9 to go out and do some sports photography. Would I recommend this camera for sports photography? No, there's cameras way better for that sort of thing than the S9. But can you do it? Yeah, absolutely. Well, it looks like that might be it for the nice weather for the day. We have had all of that where it's nice and sunny. I don't know if you can see that on the camera, but now we're getting that. That's what summer's like in England. You get a couple of nice hours of sun and then it just changes and all the nice light's gone for photography. Making videos, doing photography in England is, outside anyway, is just a bit of a pain. And the rain's now coming. One day I'll manage to make a full video outside, hopefully, all being well. 2 hours of nice weather, it started to rain, it's now gone cloudy, it's gone very cold and it's got windy. Summer in England down to a T. Now this might sound a little bit weird, it's a little bit of a strange analogy, but I think it works. A camera is a little bit like a paintbrush to a painter, because a painter can't go and paint without a paintbrush. It's just a tool to be able to help them do their jobs. And a camera is exactly the same to us as photographers or videographers. And that is the reason that the most important thing to look for in a camera is the one that suits you the best. Instead of actually just looking at spec sheets and choosing a camera based off what it looks like on paper, choose the one that you enjoy using the most, the one that feels right in the hand, the one that you can navigate the menus really quickly and easily without getting frustrated at it. Because if you're using the camera that is right for you, then you shouldn't ever have to actually be worrying about the camera itself, because you know your way around it. It just becomes second nature as to how you use it, and you know you can rely on it. A camera is just an extension of you and your creativity, and when you start to realise that, it's really refreshing, because you realise that there is absolutely no limit as to what you can go out and create with your camera. And any potential obstacles that you do come up against, you start to think about them creatively instead of just making excuses about your gear and telling yourself you can't go and do it. I'm going to go and finish this video at home because it is absolutely freezing. August. Doesn't feel like August. Oh, would you look at that? My t-shirt is exposed exactly the same as middle grey. How ideal is that? I can use my t-shirt to expose for my shots at any point. If I forget my grey card, just use my t-shirt. The other thing to realise when it comes to cameras is that one camera might suit someone pretty much perfectly, but then that same camera isn't necessarily going to suit another person. So for example, you might be into wildlife photography and you might want a camera with a high megapixel count of say 60 megapixels so that you have that extra room for cropping and reframing your shots while you're photographing pictures of birds flying around and stuff like that. That same camera might not suit me because I shoot hybrid. I shoot a lot of video as well. So I need a camera that is capable of doing both. And therefore a higher megapixel count isn't necessarily going to be something that I look for in a camera. And you could go on for hours like that as well, just looking at different specs. So it's all about just trying to figure out what you need from a camera the most so that you can achieve the results you want with it. If you're a sports photographer and you want to be able to go and capture 80 frames a second in RAW, that's great. Go for it. But then if that doesn't suit you, there's no reason to knock it for that person that it does suit. I personally don't need to shoot 80 frames a second in RAW, and I would dread the amount of storage that that would take up. But for someone else, it might suit them perfectly, and then that camera fits their needs. But the thing to remember now is that the gap between all of the cameras that are being released now is shrinking all of the time because technology moves so fast, and that goes for the high-end cameras and the lower-end cameras. All of that higher-end technology filters down into the lower-end technology, and those lower-end cameras are insanely capable and are way ahead of where the higher-end cameras were 5 or 10 years ago. And that's great because it means that buying a camera now doesn't have to be difficult. It can be as easy as you like. In some situations, a phone camera will outperform a real camera. That's technology. That's how things have moved on. That is why cameras are boring. And the thing that you should be focusing on is actually getting out and learning how to improve your skills and learning to get better and tell stories and make art. I think we all need to put more time and effort into the actual creation part. The thing that matters, that is where the magic actually happens, in what we create. And I'm including myself in this. I've fallen into the same trap over the years. The best example I can think of this is that a great story or a powerful moment captured badly, maybe it's a little bit out of focus or a little bit blurry, a great story captured badly can still be incredibly powerful. Think of all of the images from World War II and things like that. They are incredibly powerful photos. On the other hand, a boring story captured on the best camera in the world is still a boring story. I think that makes sense. Hopefully it does. Let me know your thoughts in the comments down below, because I can see this being quite a divisive topic. I don't mean it to be. It's just my personal opinion. You might have a different opinion. I'm not saying in this argument that the gear doesn't matter, because it absolutely does. Not getting into all of that. I just think that we need to be spending more time focusing on creating things than putting too much emphasis on the cameras, because cameras are boring. What you make with the cameras is the exciting part. That's it for this one. See you in the next one.